Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table, your weekly gaming news in 10 minutes or less. And finally, we have some actual news to talk about instead of just endless amounts of game announcements, so let's get to it. Starting out, we have a couple of announcements, well, not game announcements, but acquisition announcements, because Genius Games has acquired Artana. So Artana are the makers of Speakeasy and Tesla versus Edison, very historical and science-based games. And then you have Genius Games, who are really focused on STEM-based games, and so this seems like a match made in heaven. And then we have, of course, Asmodee, because we can't talk about acquisitions without Asmodee. They have acquired Lion, GoKids, and Skyship, which is going to give them such great headway into distribution into Canada, Taiwan, and Chile. Man, the vast network of Asmodee influence is just continuing to spread all over the globe. Look out, Disney. Then we have Wizards of the Coast making an interesting move here. You know, Wizards of the Coast can be a little bit litigious sometimes. I mean, they're the big dogs, or I guess Hasbro behind them. But they are suing Frylock's Gaming and Geekery over stat block templates. But the juicy part here is Frylock himself is an IP lawyer. Frylock posted a wonderfully thorough explanation of why he believes that stack blocks cannot be copyrighted. And I'm not saying that this definitively proves his case or anything, but this is a fantastic blog post to follow along for anyone who's interested in the legals behind board games or IP law or anything like that. And inevitably, anytime that you see anything legal having to do with board games and mechanics come up online, someone says, well, I'm not a lawyer, but, well, this guy actually is a lawyer. It's a fantastic resource, and if nothing else, a very interesting read. So as more news comes out of this for what ultimately happens in the case, then I will be sure to tell you. Then our last bit of news is that BGG has gotten a redesign. And this actually happened a while ago. I could have reported it earlier, but it just wasn't that big enough of news. But it is big news in the sense that, wow, look at that thing. I mean, I'm not sure that it added any functionality, but it sure looks different and unfamiliar, so it's not necessarily better, but it's harder to navigate if you're used to the old system. I guess it's cleaner in a way? I don't know. I use BGG all the time for posting Cardboard Herald stuff, but I haven't really gotten a handle on what the intended impact of this layout design change is. So if you use some of BGG's advanced features and this has either been a huge help or hindrance, I'd love to hear about that. For now, it's just a cosmetic makeover, which I guess is cool in and of itself, though there have been some Reddit users with some really rad attempts at making a better logo than what they did to poor Ernie. And that will take us over to announcements, game announcements, you know, the other section of our show. And yeah, we have some more of those, well, expansion stuff and rumors, non-announcements. Let's go ahead and get into it. So FFG announced the Green Goblin, their first little add-on pack to the upcoming Marvel LCG. And in this, you're going to be fighting the Green Goblin, which everyone knows is Norman Osborn. And initially, it'll be Norman Osborn. And you can't just go up swinging and fighting Norman Osborn. He has some of the most influence in all of the Marvel well, no, there's a lot more people with influence greater than Norman Osborn in the Marvel Universe, but at least New York City, the Spider-Verse. We'll leave it at that. You can't just go after him directly. First, you have to fight all sorts of minions, the criminal element that exists underneath his supposedly legitimate empire. As you try to fight him, you fight that instead, and eventually, surprise, surprise, it ends up in a boss battle. Looks cool. I still haven't had a chance to check out the new game, but this does sound like a really good LCG, and Lord knows I love Marvel Comics. I have enough of them sitting beneath me over there. Then we have Renegade announcing Clank in Space Cyberstation 11, and I feel like we're talking about Clank all the time. Like every other show is a Clank episode in one way or another. But it looks like the main new features in this expansion to Clank in Space are going to be a new board and then also some elements that are going to last for the duration of an entire game. They're called cyberware abilities. So if you love Clank, which it sure seems like a ton of people really love that game, then this is going to be there for you. I've only played the base game. I should check out Clank in Space. I liked it enough. And then finally, our unannouncement, or I guess leak is the best way of putting it. We have some leaked images of Azul Summer Pavillion that have surfaced online. Mike from Plan B Games even replied on Reddit, no comment. So that sounds like permission for wild speculation to begin. Personally, I think it's going to be a miniatures-based tactical skirmish game. Now, for our highlight today, we're going to be talking about Carte Rouge by the Enigma Emporium, because the Enigma Emporium is launching their Kickstarter tomorrow, well, the day after this episode goes live on August 20th. Now, Carte Rouge is another one of their mystery puzzle thingies. It's a deck of cards, but it's also so much more than that. And I don't want to get into any spoilers or even reveal too much information, but recently I got a chance to interview the designer Khiarra Foss and talk to her about it, and I asked her, what should people expect going into Carte Rouge? This was her response.
Expect to dive in. Most of the face cards have a good-sized border on them, and that allowed for more room to fit clues, codes, and ciphers onto that artwork. But there is also some little bits and pieces visually that don't quite fit into a standard deck of cards. Overall, it's a very traditionally aesthetic deck. You know, it's got your very nice court cards that face out with bold coloring and various implements and their nice robes. But as you get further and further in, it will become more and more intricate, and you'll realize there are more and more layers to what is happening.
Thank you so much, Khiara, for coming on to the show. That whole episode, as well as our review of Carte Rouge and the Kickstarter for Carte Rouge, are all launching this week, so be sure to stay tuned for that. All right, so our final segment of the show, as always, is our question segment. Normally I ask you about board games and specific things that you have experience with. Forget all that. We're going back to what I was talking about earlier, Azul Summer Pavillion. Tell me, what is the wildest speculation you can come up with? I want things that are bananas, things that are audacious, maybe even a little steamy or provocative. Let us know in the comments below what possibly Azul Summer Pavillion could be, and then maybe Plan B Games might actually see that. And that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table. I'm your host, Jack, and as always, I'll talk to you next week. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website, cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.